All right. Hey, I'm Ed Winslow from Proof Stacking, and I'm here with Joe Serafin in Northern Virginia. And hey, Joe, how you doing?
What's up, Ed? Good to see you. Good to be
Yeah,
on. Thanks for having me.
yeah, this is great. So you had this amazing deal recently in Berryville, and I'm gonna do a screen share, and we're gonna go over and look at the property on your website. But tell me a little bit about the deal. Let me, as a matter of fact, um, let me just pop over there right now
Sure.
and let's take a look at the property. And here it is right here. And by the way, everybody who's looking at this, these are all amazing deals that Joe and his team have done. And tell me about this deal.
Yeah. So this owner contacted us. It was about a year ago or so, and he's a plastic surgeon up in New Jersey. And interesting story, just a little side tangent. He's actually the plastic surgeon who sewed Evander Holyfield his ear back on when the
Oh,
whole
really?
Tyson
Oh my
thing
gosh.
happened. Yeah. So he was telling me about this property that he had down here. He had never seen the property. It was sight unseen. He had actually bought it for a marijuana growing facility, or he was going to use it for his yacht business because they weren't allowing him to do what he wanted to do up in New Jersey. So he bought this back in 2022 and never saw the building, never stepped foot in it. The place where he is at changed their mind. They were allowing him to do the development up there closer to his hometown. So he wanted to sell the property. So he did some online research. At first, he was trying to sell it himself and wasn't really getting anywhere. So, because of some of the great work that you and I have done, Ed, he found us top of the list. This is an area that we focus on in Northern Virginia and also industrial property like this. And he contacted us and we agreed to the listing and we launched our marketing campaign. Berryville is a more of a rural area in Northern Virginia, so it's
Right.
going to be west of DC. Um, but you have two pretty big hubs where Berryville lies in between Winchester, which is really up and
See.
coming and growing. And then you have like the Loudoun County area, Leesburg, and all that, which is one of the most affluent areas. So we knew that we had to get this property some massive exposure. So I think Ed, you and I did a press release on this while it was an active listing, and that was really to get it on all eyes. And it's
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I
remember,
remember
yeah,
that one.
yep,
That
and
was back in the spring. I think that was back in like June, I think.
I believe so, right, and some key fact. This is a huge industrial property. It's 270,000 square feet on 22 acres, but it's kind of cut up. So we need to get a lot of eyeballs on it, and that ended up paying off. Now, our buyer happened to be local, but found it when he was looking to move. He owns, I can't mention really who it is, but he has a furniture enterprise based out of Northern Virginia, as well as probably the largest and most established winery around the area as well. Well, this property was large enough to kind of provide enough space for both operations with some modifications. And it happened to be he was in a 1031 or was coming up on a 1031. So our client had bought this property for around 7 million.
Okay.
Again, sight unseen, no debt on the property. And that was 3 or 4 years ago. We ended up closing on it about 2 weeks ago for 14 million.
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
Doubled his profit. Obviously, he is a very happy client, and we were happy to move it. And again, with a lot of SEO enriched marketing, a lot of the visibility from the press releases and our marketing channels, and a display. I mean, you could see that drone picture there encompasses everything that is that property there, and we found the right buyer, and it just led to a pretty massive success story for us. That's probably the single from a square footage standpoint, largest property that we have sold, the 270,000 square feet or more. So it was, tours would last about, 2 to 3 hours on that property, but hey,
Yeah, it's a
it was worth it.
yeah. It looks like it's got what are they putting down here? It looks like they've got some solar panels down here or something. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think it was cabling, and that was
Oh,
just,
okay. So that okay,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then that area to the right, that green field patch, that's another area that could be leased out for storage yards. But you had, the NOI, it was about 40% leased when we sold it, which worked out well because it's more or less an owner user that's going to be utilizing it. But there were some major tenants in there. ProLift had been a tenant that was occupying about 80,000 square feet in one of the newer sections. But this was an industrial site that was piecemealed kind of together over the years. So different areas of that property were built at different times. Luckily, there was an excellent property manager on there that knew that building inside and out. He worked for the previous owner as well. So he knew, and I would make sure that he was always available with us when we were doing tours, because you always go to the experts, right? He knew the property. He knew where to walk. He had the keys. You knew how to get this exposure out there in the press, and we knew how to get it sold. So all of that combined led to that success.
yeah. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. I mean, very interesting that so the when you were hired to sell the property, we did a press release for you at that time.
Yep.
And so that gave you that helped?
It gave us a lot of exposure. And so if you remember, like at that time, you and I, we were doing a lot of press releases on already sold properties, success stories, right? To help
Yeah.
with the company's SEO, to help with my presence. But I knew this was a high profile property for us. So that's when I asked you, hey, can we do this for an active listing? Something that will, the structure of it's a little bit different. We're not talking about, hey, we successfully sold this. It's no, here's an opportunity for, and then we kind of worked in our target keywords: industrial investor, owner user, something like that, to get a different type of exposure, not necessarily as much exposure for the company, which it still did, but a lot of exposure for the property itself. And that's
Yeah.
what really worked, especially in a rural area like this. There's not any major newspapers or publications in Berryville. So we had to go kind of that broader reach, which I knew you had.
Yeah. The press releases in real estate, I've done this across the board in many, many different businesses. I am not seeing the real estate, like I'm seeing the real estate blow the doors off any other use. Like for
Mhm.
whatever reason, marketing commercial property specifically and land and things like that. I'm
Yep.
seeing better results out of press releases than I've seen out of anything else. That's my experience.
Well, I will tell you we're doing one right now, obviously, you and I on Wheatland Farm. And that press release, I believe you told me this, was one of the biggest. And it actually, here, get this. I know we're going on a tangent away from this success story, but that has opened a door. Now we've had that early education niche, right? We've had that. It's a very hyper focused, hyper local niche. We have now gotten into another niche, which is event centers, banquet facilities. So think weddings facilities, cottage inns, things like that, which is a huge business in our area in Loudoun County.
Yeah.
We have now, we're launching that Wheatland Farm property, which was one of the largest press releases and exposure that we've gotten. We just sold that Fox Chase Farm for
Right.
7.9 million, which has led. Now we literally, I've even told you about this, Ed. We just got a listing. The listing agreement, the ink's dry, now dry on it. We literally just launched it yesterday for another event center in Middleburg. And it's somewhat confidential, so I can't say, but directly because of our exposure from the press releases in that space, event center space. I know we're talking ourselves away from this success story of this industrial property, but I want to let you know how those press releases work, especially when you're hyper focused and hyper, in just your property type and the area, because that got picked up. In fact, we're waiting on another listing of probably 17 to 20 million on a pretty large site of another event center, also local.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
We could
Wow.
keep on going, but yeah,
That's an amazing story.
that
That's
gives
an
you
amazing
an
story. But
idea. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so let's just wrap up here if and I just want to just wrap it up. And this is I mean, great story, great deals. And I thank you for spending the time. And let's just pause it right here. And
Yeah.
thank you for your time on this one.
Thanks so much, Ed. And let's continue to keep on stacking. As Bob Knackle says, keep on stacking.
Right.
Yeah. So thanks for having me, though.